Welcome to another episode of Washington in Focus. I'm Washington State Center Square's government reporter, Carlene Johnson. Along with me is our investigative reporter, TJ Martinell, who has continued to uncover a series of complaints, investigations having to do with our Washington State Attorney General's office and some folks that work with him and alongside him, and a complaint against Solicitor General Noah Purcell with the State Executive Ethics Board. So give us the update on what has happened with the complaint and who decided that this is not worthy of being investigated, TJ.
I'm going to try and summarize for people who just showed up to the party. There was a ethics complaint filed against the State Attorney General Nick Brown over a issue, and Noah Purcell, the Solicitor General, sent a letter on Nick Brown's behalf. And then a complaint was filed against Noah Purcell for using public resources to defend Nick Brown as a private attorney, because the investigation by the State Bar Association is only into their ability to practice laws as a private attorney. And the State Ethics Board Executive Director, Kate Reynolds, dismissed the complaint, saying it had, effectively saying it had no merit to look into it further. Problem is, Kate Reynolds has said in emails that I have that she reports to Noah Purcell. So she was tasked with investigating her supervisor. She didn't recuse herself, and she did not abstain or say, hey, we need to give someone else this investigation because I have a conflict of interest.
So so she reports to Noah Purcell, the very person who had the complaint filed against him and that she was asked to investigate.
Right. And just to keep in mind, this is by no means the first complaint against Purcell that she's dismissed. She's also, it's also worth noting, Kate Reynolds is a member of the Attorney General's office. And in fact, the State Ethics Board is staffed and funded by the Attorney General's office. So not only is she being asked to investigate a member of her own office, she's being asked to investigate her own supervisor, which you can imagine how things would go over if she were to find that the complaint had merit and to look into it.
Okay, so why is the Washington State Ethics Board, why isn't there another degree of separation between them and the AO's office?
Yeah, so for people who haven't been following the story, these complaints have been filed by a man named Bob Scales. He is the president of a company called Police Strategies. He's had a many year running feud with the Attorney General's office over a police use of force database contract that was given to Wazoo, who is a client of the Attorney General's office. And the request for proposal was done by the Attorney General's office. Bob Scales also filed complaints against Washington State University employees for unethical behavior. And the Attorney General's office got directly involved in that case as well, along with the Wazoo president, despite the fact that they have no formal role in investigating ethics complaints. And then you have the State Ethics Board dismissing complaints against members of the Attorney General's office. So in all these instances, you have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest. The only entity that has looked into Scales' allegations has been the Washington State Bar Association, which has no direct connection to the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
So that's just something to keep in mind. And it really raises the question of whether or not the State Ethics Board staff should be completely uninvolved with the Attorney General's office, because it begs the question of who investigates the Attorney General's office, because the State Bar Association can't investigate them in their roles as in the Attorney General's office. They can investigate them in their roles as private attorneys. So this is, and they're investigating them for violating rules and codes for lawyer conduct. The State Ethics Board looks at everything. It looks at employee conduct as a state employee. So that's the situation that's going on right now, is you have all these internalized forms where the Attorney General's office is accountable to itself.
And who ultimately then can hold them accountable?
Well,
I mean, obviously,
it goes back to that famous Latin saying, who watches the watchman.
Right.
Right. And so what has happened now is Scales has appealed for an advisory opinion of the state ethics board itself. So there's going to be a hearing in a couple of months where they're going to have the case presented to them, and they get to decide if they want to offer their own advisory opinion to say whether or not they agree that this complaint had no merit or whether it did or not.
Well, and shouldn't Ms. Reynolds have basically said, I mean, she had to have known it wasn't going to be too difficult to find out, right? That she had to report to Purcell and that she's protected him in the past. And so when she's being asked to investigate this new complaint, it should have been an obvious, like, dude, you know, I got to recuse myself on this. Somebody else better take this case because I'm too close to it.
Right. Because Noah Purcell has also had a Washington State Bar Association complaint filed against him. Now Reynolds has opened herself up to a complaint for refusing to recuse herself because as an attorney, she has to avoid conflicts of interest. I think they even have to avoid appearance of conflicts of interest. And I would be hard pressed to have somebody explain to me why being tasked with investigating your supervisor isn't a conflict of interest in this case. So that's where the story's not going away because they, you know, this honestly, to go really far back into the story, this whole thing is because when Washington State legislature was writing the bill that called for the creation of this police use of force database, they didn't have the Department of Enterprise Services do the request for proposal, which they don't have any connections whatsoever with any public higher institution of learning, universities, whereas the Attorney General is the attorney for every single public university in the state. And the request for proposal was soliciting proposals from universities, private and public. So there was just immediately off the bat, there's a conflict of interest. And on top of that, Scales has also filed a tort, he filed a tort claim with the state risk manager who gave that the investigation over to the Attorney General's tort claim investigative division. I mean, again, why would you turn over an investigation into the Attorney General's office to their tort claim division? You know, so again, another example of where there's these conflicts of interest that could have been avoided, and every step along the way, they don't avoid them.
Well, I mean, it would seem from, I mean, you're way more into this and have all the public records, TJ, but it seems because each step along the way, they're just getting away with it. So, I mean,
so it is on the ring. There's, you know, to sound like an infomercial, wait, there's more. The state ethics complaint against Kate Reynolds has been assigned to the state ethics board chair, who is also her supervisor.
What? That cannot be.
It can't be. Yeah. Just like the infomercial. So there's so many conflict. There's either a conflict of interest or there's an appearance of a conflict of interest. And so it really almost is now is a question that you would ask a lawmaker. Do you think that we need to have a bill passed that calls for the state ethics board to be staffed only by people who have no connection with the Attorney General's office? That
seems so obvious. Well, I mean, as more and more complaints and allegations and of wrongdoing and conflicts of interest within the AGO's office are there, it's gonna continue to be. And have you reached out? I was curious. Have you reached out to any lawmakers that are? I know there's a lot of them that follow your.
I have yet on this. I have yet to reach out to them because I've been focusing on this, following this, because, you know, you ask them what's going on, and like I reached out to the Attorney General's office for comment on this, and they're effectively trying to claim that that Purcell's defending Nick Brown as the Attorney General. I reached out to the State Bar Association to ask that for clarification, and they said our role is strictly limited to investigating people in their position as we're investigating them within the confines of their license to practice law in Washington State.
Right.
So we're not involved in this. They're not investigating him as an elected official. They're not investigating him as the Attorney General. They're investigating him as a private attorney. So the question is why Nick Brown didn't hire a private law firm. Instead, he handed the task of defending himself over to his subordinate.
And how much time, effort, and taxpayer expense has gone into all of these different salvos at this point?
I mean, that's the next question is who is Noah Purcell billing for his time spent on this? Right. So taxpayer dollars are being used to defend Brown for his role in an amicus brief that was filed in support of a private law firm's access to federal tax dollars.
Wow.
So
you can't make this stuff up. I mean, if you didn't have all the proof and have all those documents that you got through public records requests and that Bob Scales got himself, I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. I know we're on limited time. I wanted to ask you, what's the status of the state bar's, complaints or what they're asking of the office? What's the status of that?
You'll have to tune in soon because that story is developing information, but it's going to be definitely something that readers who've been following this and are interested in it are going to want to hear about.
Ooh, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. Something like that. Yes, it sounds like it's going to be a good Nick Salvo.
It's classified.
I know it is.
I'd have to kill you.
You're lifting up the covers and exposing it. And I mean, it seems like it gets more hard to really believe with each chapter of this that we've talked about for, I think it's been months now, TJ, and everything you've been exposing. This is the stuff that takes a lot of investigative work on your part to reveal, but it's stuff that people need to have exposed, right? So I appreciate all your hard work on this. I know you spent countless hours and probably sleepless nights over this stuff. So I appreciate it. For our followers that would like to read TJ's articles at thecentersquare.com and search TJ Martinell. For now, I'm Carlene Johnson with another episode of Washington in Focus.